Are your acros constantly dying? Are you constantly dying? Is Ark just arcing you? Well, I've got a brand new way to tame the acro that might keep you and it alive long enough to succeed. Huge shout out to Johnny for dropping this in the comments of my acro taming guide. I thought it was a pretty interesting way to try taming them, so I tested it out and the results are in. It works. So if you do find this guide useful, please smash the like button and subscribe if you're new here. Also let me know in the comments if you have any other interesting ways to tame them and I might just test them out. So first things first, you're going to need a few things in order for this to work. Of course, you're going to need a taming food, either exceptional kibble or possibly raw mutton or meat. You're also going to need some type of knockout food, either biotoxin or narcotic. I strongly encourage biotoxin because it goes much faster. And finally, you're going to need a mana. You don't need armor, you don't need a weapon, you don't need anything else besides a taming food, a knockout food, and a mana. You could probably even do this entire thing without armor. However, just to be safe, I'm not gonna tell you to do that. Just have a little bit of armor just in case something bad happens. Now, in terms of the mana, I actually did test this two different ways. I tested it one with all stamina and health and basically nothing into melee. I also tested it where I put all the points into melee, almost up to 1000 melee, and it works both ways. I personally recommend that if you are worried about killing it, that you use the mana that is just all health and stam. I actually found this one to be a little bit better for me personally. It made me feel a little bit more comfortable using it because I knew I wasn't going to accidentally kill the acro. However, like I said, you can use one with high melee to make it go a little bit faster, but just be careful, it's going to do more damage, which means you run the risk of potentially killing it a little bit more as a possibility. Now, in terms of saddles, of course, a good saddle is going to protect it, but I used a primitive saddle on both of the manas, and the first one, actually, the one with very low melee, didn't even have an imprint. The second one did have an imprint to boost its stats and to make it do more damage. Now, when it comes to taming these guys, it's pretty simple. When you find one that you want to tame, I strongly encourage you to kill all the bad stuff in the area, and what I have kind of found to work really well for me is if I make a mistake, and you need to heal the acro, I have been carrying around babies with me in order to feed the acro. Rather than having the situation come in where you need to feed it wild creatures, I encourage you to use babies. I was using gachas on stream actually last night, and it works pretty well. I was feeding like a 150, like 2 or 3 baby gachas, and that was using a shotgun though. This was not using the mana method. So I encourage you to get some type of baby, you know, parasaurs, gachas, ovis, karchas, gigas, racers, something that doesn't have a lot of HP so that it can kill it quickly and eat it quickly in order to regain its HP. But just to have that on hand, I guess that would be a 4th item that you could potentially have on hand just to make it easier in case you do mess up. Now, I will say this, for this method, I didn't really mess up, so I didn't need to feed it anything to heal, because the nice thing about the mana is it's very agile and it moves around very quickly, so you can avoid being stunned for the most part, and I didn't really run into any problems, but you never know what could happen. You could get attacked by wild creatures with the mana and mess it up. So if you do need to heal it, I do recommend babies. So once you find your acro and you've cleared the area, you've got a nice little taming spot, all you're gonna do is hit it with the ice breath. That's it. That's all you're gonna do. And you're gonna basically just hit it with the ice breath. It's okay if it gets frozen. I was stopping when it got frozen just so that I could keep an eye on it and not, especially with the higher melee one, not kill it. But basically the freezing doesn't mess it up. It's very similar to how I was using bear traps in my original taming guide. The bear traps don't really mess up the taming in any way, shape, or form, which is kind of cool. But with the mana breath, it also doesn't mess it up. I hope they don't patch this out. It might get patched out. I really hope that they don't patch this, but all you're gonna do is hit it with the mana breath until it does that head toss and goes down to do the good roar. I did explain the differences between the roars in my first taming guide, but just so you know that there are basically 3 roars that this guy does. The good one, which is the one where he tosses his head first and then he goes down, his mouth opens super wide, and then you can actually see the sound ripples from the roar coming out. That is the one that you want to approach and feed on. The other 2, one is kind of just one where he crouches down and he opens his mouth just a little bit. He does this more of a grumbly roar. Don't go near him. I actually recommend backing up so that way you don't potentially get stunned. And then the third one is where he tosses his head way up in the air and he roars, and that one also just stay away from. Those two are just ones that you want to avoid. But if you are good enough with your mana and agile enough with your mana, you can avoid getting stunned, which is the only time that really the only time I messed up, because I tried another one with this method, and the only time I messed up was when I got basically stunned by the fake roar, and I couldn't get close enough to feed him while he did the real roar. So just kind of stay out of his way. The nice thing about the mana, like I said, is it's really fast, so you can just go in real quick, feed him, and then back up. And all you're gonna do is just sit here and keep icing him. Let him roar, run up, feed him, ice him again, let him roar, run up, feed him, ice him again. It is so smooth and easy. And like, I took no bites from this guy with my character. So like I said, I think you could probably do this naked. You don't even need armor for this, which is, I think, the best part about it. And yeah, as long as you just keep the mana just out of bite range, the mana doesn't take any damage, you don't take any damage, and the Acro gets knocked out very, very quickly. I think when I did this, it took me 5 minutes for a 150. All right, guys, that is the mana method. Let me know what you think in the comments down below if you've used this or a different cheeky little method in order to knock these guys out. I will also say, because you actually see here right at the end of this clip, there is, I don't know if it's intended, I'm assuming it's a bug, but they don't lose taming effectiveness if they take damage after getting knocked out. And I've also heard that you can feed them basically anything and get full taming effectiveness no matter what. I am absolutely assuming that this is 100% a bug right now. I don't really want to highlight it in this video because I think it's going to get patched, but just so you know, as of right now, if it takes damage or if you feed it anything besides its preferred food, it still gets 100% taming effectiveness. So if you hit it after it goes down right now, before it gets patched, it does not take any damage. We tested it out on the community server last night. Some of my community members have been not so worried about damaging them when they're unconscious, and I have actually tested it myself. If you punch it, it does not lose any taming effectiveness once it's knocked out. So yeah, that's just one last little thing I wanted to throw in here, one last little caveat on these guys. Again, I do think this is going to get patched very, very soon because it does not seem to be intended. But if you did enjoy this one, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here, and like I said, let me know if there's anything else that I should check out when it comes to taming these guys. If not, I will see you guys in the next one.